Hi again to those of you who've logged it in the last 30 seconds or 1 minute. Welcome to today's Learning Latitudes session. I'm Chandana Sethi from the Tata Management Training Center. Thank you for joining us today. We do also have in the call my colleagues Girish, Shekhar, Sagar and Sanjay, who coordinate the Learning Latitude sessions for us. And of course, we do have our speaker as well, Ms. Abhilasha Bahuguna, who I will introduce to you shortly. But before I do that, if I may request, Sagar, please, if you can scroll through to the next couple of slides. We'd like to share a few guidelines about the session before I introduce the session and the speaker to you. Think of this session as a learning session like any other. As you know, this is a short, precious 1 hour learning capsule that we bring to you twice every month. And as you go through this next 1 hour, I'll, encourage you to think about this, like I said, like any other learning session where think about what your key takeaways are, make some notes for yourself, because it's, always a good practice to then later think about who else you can share the learnings with, who else can benefit from what you're hearing today. And of course, it'll be something for you to keep with yourself as well for future reference. So that's on, how you could think about this in terms of a learning session. Some other, another request is to keep an eye on your audio button. You'll see that our team has muted you from our side. That's to keep any audio disruptions to a minimum. But sometimes what happens is that, the button can get unmuted automatically. And then sometimes background noises at your end may disturb the flow of the session. So do keep an eye on the audio button. You do, of course, have access to the chat throughout. And the speaker will be, as always, happy to take your questions towards the latter part of the session. So Abhilasha will share, her story with you for the next 35 to 40 minutes, and then we'll open it up to your questions via the chat. But even as the session goes along, feel free to share your observations in the chat, and I'll put your questions to Abhilasha. So now let me begin, with the heart of today's session, which is really a fascinating story, which puts meaning in the phrase business with purpose. That is what Abhilasha and her team do at Looms of Ladakh, which is a cooperative movement, which was really born some years ago from Abhilasha and her other co-founders' ability to see the potential that was there in converting a heritage handicraft in the remote mountainous regions of North India. So like I said, the potential to convert what was a traditional craft into an ethical, sustainable fashion brand that it is today. It was born as a pilot project back in 2016, but Looms of Ladakh, as the cooperative is called, today has become a globally known luxury brand with a growing following among its consumers who love the products. The products are made from pashmina wool. And it's a lovely example of, a few different things, many things actually. Passion, vision, sustainable development, which helps artisans find a market and a fair price for their products, and in the process helps them to maintain their livelihoods. Now about Abhilasha herself. Abhilasha holds a degree in socio-economic policy from Tilburg University in the Netherlands, and she gained experience in the early part of her career working at a policy development think tank, which is affiliated with the Dutch government. And that was experience surely that has contributed, to the perspective that she's brought to the formation of Looms of Ladakh. Under her leadership, the cooperative has, recently won an award from NASSCOM, an award called the Inspire Award 2023. And very interestingly, Looms of Ladakh was also selected during the New York Fashion Week last year for a billboard campaign at Times Square, at Broadway, and also at the United Nations headquarters for an entire week. Abhilasha herself has been recognized as one of the top 10 global social entrepreneurs in fashion. But beyond this achievement, she's a multifaceted person who holds a Prabhakar, as you know, is one of the highest degrees in the, arts of India. So she holds a Prabhakar in the dance form of Kathak. She's also a trained mountaineer. and she's currently a PhD scholar at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So with that, I'm going to now invite you, Abhilasha, to please share the story of Looms of Ladakh and what we can learn about really converting vision into reality. What does it take to do that? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Chandana ma'am, Sanjay ji, Girish ji, Sagar ji, and Anand Shankar sir, for this platform where I am able to, I don't see it as something that other people are going to learn from, but I think it's a mutual learning experience, because what I'm going to share is just a story, and probably it is going to resonate with others who are thinking alike, and it may help us connect in one way or the other on this path or the other. So it's a mutual learning experience. I would like to share a small presentation that I made about us, and thank you all for your interest in listening to it. Okay. May I please turn off my video so that it gives more bandwidth to my presentation? Okay. So Looms of Ladakh, its journey started in 2016, and with a skill development training program in the fields, in the trades of knitting, with 100 women in 6 villages in Ladakh. It was another skill development program in the field of Pashmina value addition. A lot of effort had been going on in this field since 2015, when the government of India started promoting the Pashmina promotion program. And earlier also, many NGOs and many organizations have done wonderful work in this field with knitting skill development, handloom skill development. And on those shoulders, I think we stand. Currently, Looms of Ladakh's manufacturing, it takes place in 22 villages in both districts of Leh and Kargil. And just to give you, a picture of the workplace, these villages are distant from each other at an altitude which you're, I think, very much aware of, say 9,000 to 17,000 feet. If they are in Kargil, then the villages are 9,000 to 11,000 feet. And in Changthang area, we go as high up to 15,000, 16,000 feet. And the distance between them is 10 to 250 kilometers. We have now 2 product ranges. One is the luxury range with only Pashmina products between 2,000 to 30,000 price range. And we retail it through our own flagship store in Leh, and also through Khazana stores of Taj Group of Hotels in Taj Mahal Palace, Mumbai, and opposite the Bangalore airport, also at Theo. However, currently, because this is the tourist season in Leh, we have not kept much of the products for retail at these places. Looms of Ladakh also has started retailing from the canvas. It's a multi-designer store in New York at the World Trade Center Oculus Mall. And we have recently launched another social initiative label. It's called Perak, with Army Wives Welfare Association. And the name Perak is a Ladakhi term for a bridal headgear. Perak is symbolic because, Ladakh is mostly an egalitarian community. However, it also has its class and caste differences. And the number of stones, the line stones of the turquoise, the number of lines of turquoise stones on the headgear, they represent the class that the woman, the bride, is coming from. So we thought that now the woman's Perak is going to be her trade, her work with this industry, for regional development. And with Perak, we are coming up with apparels with, khadi cotton, khadi wool, local sheep wool, silk, and the like. And the price range is between Indian rupees 1,500 to 10,000. So Looms of Ladakh has been able to increase the capacity of its members from, adding value to 7 kg per month of local wool to 60 kg of per month, wool from 2021 to 2023. This is an achievement because mostly Ladakh region has been known for its raw material economy. And whenever you hear Pashmina, everyone associates it with other places more than Ladakh. It is only very recently, just a month or two back, when Ladakh Pashmina got its geographical indication for the same. Member earnings at Looms of Ladakh, it has increased from rupees 2,500 per month, and we had around 100 members back then, say 2 to 3 years back. And now we have reached a level where, depending on the trade and skills that the members have, they earn from rupees 1,500 to 15,000 consistently every month. And we maintain the records through our enterprise resource planning software. So anybody can, access it. Then Looms of Ladakh, it was appreciated in the Economic Survey of India 2022-23, which was released in the month of March. And a case study has also been published in Harvard Business Review on our production optimization amidst other such publications. This is encouraging to us because first 3 years, we did not have external funding, and like other cooperatives and organizations, Looms of Ladakh also faced some obstacles. So now when people are supporting, encouraging, we're really grateful for it and like talking about it. So the problem, why Looms of Ladakh happened, if we see locally, what we observed that skill development was being carried out for mass production of Pashmina shawls. Like so many handlooms were being provided. Then so many spinning wheels were provided without much research and without much output. Of course, it helped a lot in orienting the local mass towards these trades. And at least, it put the ball in motion. However, it was, not something with a planned course of action. And we also felt that this is a raw material economy with a high economic value natural fiber, and it has to get its rightful place in the higher value activities. Then only there'll be socio-economic returns to the region. Then in Ladakh, as you must have all, sensed it during your travel to the place or through the media, literature, publications, etc., that there's a lot of dependence on the tourism industry. For example, this year, when the flights were cancelled due to the Go First issue, the tourism industry was really badly affected. We were also affected with the dwindling tourist footfall. So this over-dependence on something is probably not good, and it's always better to diversify your industries. Also, when you see the tourism industry in Ladakh with so much footfall, it's not good for the socio-ecological, the ecosystem for the place. Probably Ladakh deserves to be that premium tourist place where, people who truly care about the landscapes, the nature, the ecology are able to, experience the place. And internationally, if we see this natural luxury fiber industry, then I learned from the Peru's Vicuna fiber history that, of course, a lot of work is being done in the conservation of the animal, which, it's a camelid, like your alpaca, and it gives your Vicuna fiber. It's very rare. One is able to get some 100 to 300 grams of Vicuna fiber once every 3 years. And brands which are located in Europe, they've done wonderful work in the biodiversity conservation. They've got exclusive rights for this Vicuna fiber. and the dwindling numbers of this animal has been halted. But if we also see some reports, some studies in terms of socioeconomic returns to the region, like other mountain regions, Peru is also having a lot of people in the trades of being, in the tourism industry, being cooks, being drivers, being guides, and very less participation of the people there is in the higher value activities. So this is not my first-hand learning, but this is a secondary literature review that we did before, embarking on the Looms of Ladakh journey. Then we also studied that Nepal Changra project, which was by the Nepal government and Intrasen a decade back. It promoted a lot of small entrepreneurs, a lot of young entrepreneurs, and they have come up with wonderful initiatives, wonderful, showrooms, stores. Some women, some men have been trained to produce handicrafts, handlooms, higher value products with your Changra Pashmina. However, it has not been able to build an industry for the local youth. It has not been able to provide the employment to the region as a whole, and there has been less backward linkage. Also, because the backward linkage was less with the herders, a lot of import now is being seen from merino and your cashmere from Mongolia and other places. Then in the third geographical distribution of similar natural luxury fiber, we see that we have Mongolia, where which is a cashmere raw material economy place. It also earns from its goat meat. So because of that, the price of the fiber, the cashmere fiber, is less, and the mass, the volume that Mongolia gives in to the cashmere industry in terms of fiber, with reduced prices, it does affect the international pricing of cashmere. So these were some things that we observed when we embarked on this journey of Looms of Ladakh. To me, okay. So my history, why I got interested in studying, embarking on this journey is, I don't know for sure, but when I reflect, I think these might be, some of the reasons why I got inclined towards it. So due to my Himalayan roots and, work in, with projects on watermills and other environmental issues, they definitely had, some impact on me, where I became more inclined towards decentralized local solutions. Then my experience with the Policy Research Institute in Netherlands, where I, as an assistant, as a scientific assistant, my job was just, data cleaning and basic analysis with SPSS on all. But when I spent time with the faculty there, with the people there in different positions, I felt that with our customers and clients, with corporate houses, and also with the Dutch government, so whenever they had some big policy which they wanted to roll out, they always, implemented a small pilot household project. And they were never overconfident of the fact that, I am saying this, I want this policy, and this is how it is to be done. This was my learning somewhere at that point. And they used to float it, conduct those pilot household surveys. Then they used to, ask this research institute to analyze the data on the response of the people. And then they used to roll it out on a larger scale. So, probably, this also has influenced me in some way. Then there was a third incident, this was in 2013. I have also put a screenshot there. I was like younger and very much Facebook savvy those days, and not being able to do much. I used to just went out, on Facebook as a post. So when my landlady was bargaining with, a seller for a shawl, I felt that if the same shawl was at Connaught Place in a branded store, probably we wouldn't have bargained a lot. And how can we be so sure if the cashmere that is being sold at our door and the cashmere that is placed amidst some genuine, stalls is also genuine? So it's all about branding and, organizing yourselves. So, and at that time, I felt that maybe, these people should also organize themselves and brand themselves as a farmer producer organization. And I was inspired with the story of Amul, and that is what I just put up as a post. So you can call it providence that my husband and I, during our courtship, post this incident, used to talk about various things, and handloom textile sector being one of them, where there is a lot of potential of providing employment at the source region of various arts and crafts. And post marriage, I landed up in Ladakh. He was posted there as a civil servant, and it was the skill development program initiated by him, which kicked off Looms of Ladakh. Post the skill development project, the women and who had undergone so many trainings in the past, they wanted something more than just being trained, and they wanted to build their own organization, their own company, where they are the owners. And at that point, I wanted it not to be registered as an NGO, but a producer company and cooperative. NGOs are doing wonderful work in the field of environment, civil rights, and so many, necessary and important issues and fields in our country and, globally. However, I felt that in this domain, which is employment generation, skill development, it has to be more business-like. And once we register as an NGO, two things concerned me. One was the people who are involved with founding that NGO, including myself, might get too attached to it, and we'll just start implementing a lot of projects which will distract us from the real goal, that is to make a business. And so we needed blinders, and that was a conscious decision that we did not register as an NGO. So we wanted to do it as a producer company or a cooperative. Thanks to Article 370 at that time, we had another act, which is J&K Self-Reliant Act 1999. It is very much like the Farmer Producer Company Act in the Companies Act 2013. It gives you that autonomy. That Looms of Ladakh registered as a cooperative. The obstacle that we faced in registering it as a cooperative was that after the skill development project in the first 6 months, everybody expected, by everybody I mean, like local elites, people in the local bureaucracy, people in the local businesses, who expected these trained women to work as wage laborers for their enterprises. And so everybody was polite on our face, because my husband was a civil servant and the women were from different places of Ladakh. But we saw a lot of delay in getting the cooperative registered. But ultimately, because the women were all persistent that they wanted their own cooperative, things fell in place, and we got Looms of Ladakh registered in 2017. Then post that, the other thing that I thought that was a solution in the long run for a luxury natural fiber at the source region was to have the participation of these herder artisans along with the designer in the management. Now, having the participation of herder artisans along with the designer, I mean, I'm just saying it, thinking it aloud, and maybe you will have some other perspective to it, and I'll be very glad to listen to it. I felt that until and unless, these artisans participate in the management by rotation, by elections or whatever, and they don't know how their business is being carried out, how their skill development, capacity building, programs are being planned, they will not develop an ownership about the whole vision. And until and unless that happens, this is not going to be sustainable. So that was my intention. Also, in the long run, it is they who have to learn also the management practices of running a brand, for two reasons. One, I mean, they are bringing in local knowledge and local expertise, which has to be on board in any planning if it is for regional development. Second is that you cannot fund so many young professionals. You have to handhold and realize what is already there, the potential of these people. It brings down the costs also. And so that was also a reason. And third, ultimately, the main purpose was that the source region has to own it. So until and unless they learn management and they're not just restricted into weaving and knitting, it really doesn't solve the problem. So that was the intention. The other intention that the designer should also participate in the management was based on my personal observations. I felt that people like me, we have to be facilitators, and it is the designer and herder. I mean, designer is bringing in his creativity along with the skills of the artisans. What I observed in similar projects and organizations is that designers are being roped, the management is taking care of projects, and the designers are hired from NIFT, NID, and to bring out some designer intervention for a small capsule collection. And then, a designer can move on to another project and a new designer can be brought in. But to build, if we study the history of these global luxury brands, we see that the designer is associated with one company, with one brand emotionally, and, region for a long time, and that really contributes to the design ethos and the brand language of that organization. So it is very important that I felt that the management has to be at the back. We have to be those people who are negotiating licensing, doing the maths and project management kind of people. But it is ultimately, if it has to be a business, if it has to be a luxury brand, then the designer and the artisans, they have to learn their role. Third was regular elections. So even in cooperatives, when I was studying, that only few cooperatives succeed in ultimately achieving the democratic management, because it gets controlled by a few people. So we're still on this journey to be able to make all the members aware that no few people will control the cooperative forever. So every 3 years, Looms of Ladakh has elections for its management positions. So it's like, our parliament, our artisans are our ministers who get elected once every 3 years, and our young professionals whom we are hand-holding in and who are themselves bringing in so much talent and skills. They are like a bureaucracy. They provide the continuity to our elected artisans. And these young professionals comprise of, for example, our designer, Nishant Raj, and, a local young graduate, Amina. So who has learned how to handle accounts. And then there's another accounts person and audits person. So we have had an election in 2017. That was the founding year. I would not call it a very fair election because the members had hardly known each other just for a week. And whoever had a dominant personality and was quick in, doing stuff and moving things, they get elected in a short period. But they did a wonderful job in being that core team in the initial 3 years when we did not have any funding. And it is also because we wanted the participation of herder artisans in the management and did not want just a few people to control it. So that led to a lot of undercurrents and obstacles where our projects were blocked. The other thing is that we were just registered as a cooperative and we did not have 3 years annual financial reports, in the founding in 2017. And we were also not an NGO, so we could not get any funding. Our first funding was received only in 2021. But I think it's a boon because if we had funding since the beginning, I think we would have been more involved in project implementation than developing our own skills, our own human resource, and building that right team and moving the products, making our own products and selling it. So it turned out to be a boon. So at Looms of Ladakh, capacity building, brand building, institution building, everything is being carried out simultaneously. When I say capacity building, then it is being carried out on multiple fronts because Ladakh is a raw material economy and it does not have a textile manufacturing cluster like other parts of the country. For example, if you go to Banaras, you will see a lot of communities. Like one community is dedicatedly a community of natural dyers or dyers. Then you have another community of weavers, and there is a system of economy, of transactions between them. That kind of transactional system is not present in Ladakh, in the textile industry. They made their own clothes with sheep wool and yak wool, much like the Himachal and the Uttarakhand belt of the high Himalayas, but it never received any commercial patronage for the same. So a lot of capacity building is being carried out in making higher end products and also in management practices. And we are also focusing and working on brand building. So initially, when in the first 3 years, we did not have any external funding, and we are grateful to Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council that, ultimately they recognize that it's a cooperative and it's not owned by one individual. Then, and they wanted to promote it. So they gave us a subsidized showroom. So our members, they brought in their raw material, converted it into products and sold. Our effort in the first 3 years was to sell those products, maintain the accounts transparently, maintain the member payments transparently, conduct the annual audit properly and maintain those records, and also write what we were doing on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook. So everywhere we used to put it out, honestly, and we did not have to think too much about how we should market it. Reason being, whatever was being written on those platforms was actually being done. And Ladakh being a tourist place, a lot of people who came there also, affirmed that vouched for, whatever we were saying online. So that worked that ways. And we were doing it in the hope that, in 3 or 4 years, when we will have our 3 financial year accounts, we will be pitching for different fundings. So this brand building also has to be done simultaneously. Looms of Ladakh has also carried out work in the field of physical infrastructure development and digital infrastructure development. We have a hub and spoke model. Looms of Ladakh members and I myself, we bought this land in the name of the cooperative. The members had their savings, which they pooled in, and I had my scholarship from childhood days, and we all pooled it in together to buy this land, where our head office and central atelier, it will be partially complete by the end of this month, and we'll be having our 7th annual general meeting this month in it. And then we have decentralized studios. We have one decentralized studio which is funded by NABARD in Trishul, and then we have another studio in Leh, in the army camp area, which is in partnership with the army. We're also contemplating on coming up with 2 more decentralized workspaces in partnership with the Indian Army. The third thing, the final thing that we wanted the members and the region and Looms of Ladakh was that each of its member should be capable to aspire for more, not just, which training is going to take place, what equipments will they receive in that training, what will be the stipend. So that was our constant effort throughout this journey, that they have to visualize a bigger picture. They have to work towards the niche luxury brand and another premium label for the local economy. The reason for this was that the project mindset is not going to work for long, because we'll just be making these members dependent on the organization for different equipments and tools. We stopped giving machines and other things, looms to homes, to people in their homes, and we made studios in the villages where people come, work and go. And it has to be a niche luxury brand, because a lot of training programs were going on in weaving, and we felt that already so many good regions are, so many good products are already there in that product category of shawls and stoles. Ladakh has to develop its identity for in the higher end fashion, and there is so much potential. I mean, if we make shawls, and if your Kashmir Mongolian industry is already selling your raw material at much cheaper price, then it really doesn't make sense in the long run to mass produce shawls. And then gradually it will fall down to fix and dupe, mixing and so many things like we see in the Nepal Chiang Rai industry. So why not, if your Vicuna fiber industry in Peru, if they can develop their traceable value chain, saying that this is from this region and this is premium, then Ladakh Pashmina with a GI can also work towards that luxury brand with lesser volumes of Pashmina, and also other local wools like yak and sheep, along with cottons and your silks, for for the local economy, which is economic. Because if you go for mass production of Pashmina, increasing the volumes, increasing the goats, it was not making sense price wise, if you work the numbers. And also a lot of pressure would have been on the grasslands of Ladakh. So when everybody is writing in the literature that the volume of the Pashmina goat fiber should be increased in Ladakh, and it will bring more money to the herders, I really have some doubts about it, and I request if somebody can tell how it will work. So I feel that it should be, your limited number of Pashmina niche apparels going global, and your other apparels also equally working for the local economy. So these were some of the things that we thought about. Then if we see the decade from 2015 to 2025, I chose 2015 because that is when the Pashmina promotion program was launched, by the government of India. So Ladakh is a raw material economy. As I earlier mentioned, it does not have a textile cluster. So all the artisans who are working in this trade, barring a few in Eastern Ladakh, the complete pastoralists who work with the backstrap loom with your yak and sheep wool fiber, these skills are, first generation skills for the locals. And even the ones in the Eastern Ladakh, they made products for themselves, for utilitarian purpose. They never got the commercial patronage for those products. So, I mean, this economy is very much a first generation skills region, and there is no manufacturing cluster here. So our aspiration, you can see to the left, is to be in the big league, that this Ladakh Pashmina and Looms of Ladakh, it is selling at Khazana now, it has to sell at Harrods, and it has to give to the world a cooperative brand. If Amul can be in the dairy industry, we can have Looms of Ladakh as a cooperative luxury brand, and it will be amazing. But there are some aspects where we lack currently in that aspiration. And if you compare it with your other people in the same industry, then we do not have the yarn patents. We have not worked on R&D in the field of Pashmina yarns, and of course the distribution channels and the production volume associated with it, because it's a first generation skill. Then those brands and global luxury houses, they have their centralized ateliers for their final product. However, we aspire to build these decentralized studios. So the women, they do not have to move out of their villages, and the young people, local graduates, they can aspire to be heads of these decentralized studios in their places. So that is our aspiration, and these are the areas that we have to work on for that aspiration. Now, if you see the right, the categories in the right, so recently we have launched a social initiative, which is a label, which is called Perak. I earlier talked about. It is an association with Fire and Fury, which is the 14 Corps Command of the Indian Army, which works in Leh and Kargil region, both with the frontiers with China and also with the Pakistan. So with this initiative, we aim to build decentralized studios in Leh, Chushul, and Kargil, where the Indian Army is helping us with studios and transportation, daily transportation and commutation for the members to these workplaces. And Looms of Ladakh is providing them capacity building. These trainees are then becoming members of the garment, garment manufacturing unit and also the weaving unit. And they are also becoming members. With each elections in once every 3 years, they also participate in the management of the brand. Our objective of launching this initiative, Perak, is to, of course, build a lower price point brand for the local economy, and also make it as a stepping stone to launch, to make the people and the members ready for the luxury brand with Pashmina. The problems that we are facing currently with the brand Perak is that the price points are competitive with fast. I mean, we want it to be for the local economy. However, the fast fashion brands, their price points are very, very low, despite us bringing out, so many factors in the product costing. So all of these are these are things that we are working on, and maybe you all will have insights to share on this aspect. So in this journey of Looms of Ladakh and Perak Apparel, there are many things that we keep reflecting on. So sometimes I feel that is it everyone's dream, or is it because I am passionate about it and I am, fooling everybody to believe in my purpose and making them join it, be it the members, be it the designer or the young professional. So what is going to be the personal growth of the designer in it? I do not want, I do not want that the organization grows and this designer and these members who are toiling for it, they are not, gaining anything other than the salary from it. There also has to be some personal satisfaction for the team. And what are their aspirations? These are some of the things that I thought about individually, and I also discussed with them about what they want in life. And by doing that, we try to bring in some kind of harmony in what they want in life and what we want in the organization, so that each one of us grows individually and also the organization grows. Because any such ambitious, aspirational, objective goal, it requires a team to stick together. And the team will stick together only when they will trust each other, that nobody is misusing the other person. Everybody is going to, learn and grow in the process. It cannot just be one person, one founder, two founder, or, the 3 or 4 people running the organization gaining in that whole journey. It has to be everybody's, growth, and then only it is going to be, is it really about just Looms of Ladakh becoming that global brand, and will we be satisfied that, okay, we wanted to be at Harrods and we've reached there, and to or is it also, are we also going to feel satisfied that, who all were associated with this dream from the beginning, they all have also enriched themselves and they have also grown. I think maybe that is what I mentioned, after the first thing is the main goal. So actually it's not, none of us, in a lot of discussions, we realized these 10, 20 members and the designer and myself, the people who have really owned the vision. We have 350 plus members, but to make everybody capable of visualizing Harrods, it's going to take a lot of time. We have done a lot of activities for it. There's another story that we also organized a fashion show in Mayfair, just so that the artisans are able to see Harrods from outside, that, what it is like. But it is not about being at Harrods. It's about each one of us being able to do what we want to do. So of course it has to be, and many times, there are also occasions and events where as a founder, I want things a certain way. And of course, because I have some experience, I've studied outside, I have done some stuff. You might feel, I feel that, they are being obstinate and, they're not doing it the right way. But everybody needs that space. I cannot do it all. And an alternative viewpoint has always helped me in my Looms of Ladakh journey, because sometimes I feel that I know how to resolve an issue which has affected us. It can be a local political issue, during the elections or something else. And I might feel that, I can handle it and this is the way to go about it. But our 10th class Achille, who has made breads for earning, and who has built her house from the scratch and who's done so many things, she's much more street smart in resolving those issues. So it's good that it's good for me to realize that I cannot do everything, and they also need that space. Of course, there are moments where I have to take some strong solo decisions. But then I cannot take for granted that, I will tell them that this is supposed to be this way. I have to take them into confidence for it, because only then they will also feel satisfied in this journey. And it is not about Looms of Ladakh being at Harrods one day, but it is my personal thing that I want goodwill, that whoever has joined Looms of Ladakh in its journey should feel, should have good memories with it and should have their own growth story attached to it. There should not be any ill feeling about it. It should be blessed with all good vibes. So, and that is a constant effort we have to do, because there are times when we are irritated with each other. Sometimes we feel that this is the right way to do it. Some artisans, they get stubborn, and then they have their community activities and all. So that becomes an issue. And sometimes the designer, because he's a creative person, is very slow. He becomes very stubborn and disrespectful. Then how to, work out all these differences? That is a constant work which we are investing in, along with investing in our for projections and financial projections and fundings and skilling and other aspects. Because without this soul, that is not going to help, I feel. Then there's another thing, that there's a lot of time where we have to balance situations like event mindset. This is happening, so we have to resolve this issue. And in that mindset, a lot of long-term vision related activities get obscured, blurred. We lose track. So that is also something we try to keep a track on, that it should not be running from day to day, that, okay, we have to implement this, we have to reach this target, but where are we heading towards? Will this help us in achieving that? So we try to do that. Many times we fail. To many questions, we still don't have answers, but we are on it. And so a lot of things that we do for it is giving space, trying to understand, the context of each individual who is in our team, why he or she is saying something, what he or she is saying. There are times when the members and the designer or other young professional have a conflict of opinion on certain matter, and then they will have a little squab, like a fight. And then after some time, we help all these people, come on a table and reflect and talk about, if that person gave that opinion, then what was his or her context, and so that there is more acceptance and inclusivity, and trying to find a middle path to make things work. Because this is what we want, right? We want to build a business, but a democratic business. That is the vision, right? And we want to build a business, but we're not taking the business to places where we will find our resources at low and economic prices. But we are trying to build that business in a place where those resources just in raw material form are there. So it's a lot of effort, not only in terms of skilling, but on the human and behavioral level also. The other thing that we try to do at Looms of Ladakh, and still all these things are work in progress. Sometimes we feel that, oh, we have reached a certain level, and the other time, it'll just collapse and we'll suddenly go back to zero. So it requires a lot of patience, but still we're trying to do it. The final thing that we try to do is that anything that we are saying, anything that I'm saying right now to you, or any of our member is telling anywhere or writing anywhere, then it has to be practiced and lived by, at least the core people, the elected artisans, the young professionals, the other 10, 15 members who have now, owned the vision. And then we are optimistic that another 10 years, it will trickle down to other members, and we'll all become that, one family where we are doing what we are saying, and what we are saying, that is what we are doing. So this was a little something about Looms of Ladakh story. I hope it was a good afternoon for you all.
I'm very sure it was for everybody attending, Abhilasha. I think one of the most fascinating stories I have heard recently about how you're building an organization. And lots of different perspectives, lots of things to think about based on what you said. Love the idea that you're learning from other similar experiences around the world. So, just the openness to looking very widely, taking cognizance of how else, similar movements are being organized, what's helping them. Also, in strategy, we say it's all about making choices. So, the choices you're making in terms of what segments to focus on, how to differentiate yourself, all of that. And also, I think just how inclusive the mindset is in terms of, the decentralization you're therefore promoting, because you want to create that capacity and that capability locally. So I think, like I said, lots of different perspectives, and we do have some questions as well. So in the few minutes that we have remaining, if I can request you to, just take on some questions. The first one is from Supratim, who's interested in knowing, are you considering omni-channel sales and marketing experiences for customers and leveraging digital to reach a larger customer base?
So as I mentioned, we're working on 2 labels. One is Looms of Ladakh, which is a luxury label, and we do not have the complete skills for it at present. So we have to reach the level of Looms of Ladakh. For that, we realize that digital sales right now is not working, because people who want to spend so much on a luxury product, they want to feel it. So it did not quite work well for Looms of Ladakh. And we tried with some handloom related e-commerce platforms in the past. For Perak, we have launched it on a pilot mode on ONDC. And we have also started, exploring Shopify and other places with some of our interns. And hopefully soon we'll go digital with Perak, because we are trying to make it a low-cost brand, an economic brand, for everyone. So digital commerce channels will be useful for it. How can we have access to Perak? Yes, this is something we're working on. Currently, we are retailing it through the flagship store, and we are also sending it to some Tarangini army stores. Some of our interns from IIM Bangalore, they are also working on the strategy on where to launch Perak. From the fall season, we'll also be sending some of the Perak products to the Khazana stores. So that is how you can have access to it. Then currently there is a buzz around ethical, sustainable fashion, and witnesses customer acceptance even being tagged pricey. How are you leveraging this trend? Yes, we don't know quite if we are leveraging it well, because the people who are aware about ethical and sustainable fashion and who are shelling out that money, we are not at those places right now. So that is the places. And also my realization is it's still a learning in the process that people, these products which are pricey and sustainable fashion products, only few of these products are being sold. Say, for example, if we take a luxury carpet, which is sustainable, coming from the artisan, say 3 or 4 of these pieces will be sold in a season. And then it is not helping build sustainable monthly remuneration for the artisans. It's just a one-off thing. That is our experience with the Ladakh, a wool value chain. So we have to work on some kind of indexing, some kind of quantitative methods to, index different brands and their sustainability aspects, so that, the prices, even if they are a little bit more than the fast fashion brands, they can be valued more. Did I answer your question correctly, or do you want to rephrase your question? Because I thought that I went haywire.
No, I think you were quite close to what the question was. And, because we don't have a lot of time left, there is one more interesting question that it'll be good to get your perspective on before we close. And that's also from Supratim, interestingly, who'd like to understand, how do you view competition and how are you trying to build competitive advantage? How do you see competition going forward?
The last one.
Yes.
In the coming years. Okay. Yes, we are working on our production volume without compromising on the sustainability part of it, locally for the region. And that is where our competitive advantage lies in Ladakh. Because when in B2B or B2C, we can add value to much more fiber than any other organization. More than that, with our brand ethos, organizational ethos, which are always going to be transparent, that will add to our story. And the credibility that it will bring to that, amidst all those organizations. And then the other aspects, that we were talking about, that yarn patents and distribution channels and all that, we're simultaneously working on that.
And I assume, Abhilasha, that all the contact details are on the website, because there is a question in the chat. One of the participants would like to know the contact details for Looms of Ladakh. I believe all of that is on the website, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Right. All right. So, lots of appreciation. We will share the chat comments with you eventually, but I think just your business model, the way you're building a very democratic organization, as you said, and as they're noticing through their comments as well. So thank you so much. I think it's been you wanted to know if this had been a good afternoon. I think it's been a very inspiring one, in fact, for everybody who attended. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I think I do see an opportunity to have you share this with the others as well in some of our learning programs. So we'll reach out to you for that as well. There's a suggestion in the chat, if I may share it with you, that you could also take the help for distribution, I believe, of the AFWA as well as the NAWA. I think these are army organizations. Okay. So,
AFWA is?
So I will explore this, and I will certainly share that with you. I think these are army organizations is what this participant means. If you haven't dropped off, if I may request you to please share in the chat what the full form of AFWA and NAWA is. This is a suggestion from Mayur. There was another question about whether you're looking at a franchise model, but this, along with other questions, maybe for another day when yes, Air Force and Navy. Yeah. It's like the Army wives, but the Air Force and Navy wives associations, I think. I think it's generated a lot of interest. People also want to know if the products can be sold on Tata platforms. I know you're in the Tata stores, but maybe the online platform also that we have. Yeah, so clearly a lot of interest in the products and what you're doing. Thank you so much, Abhilasha.
Thank you so much, Anna ma'am. Thank you so much, everybody here, Girish ji, Sanjay ji.
Please don't be formal.
Everybody.
Please don't be formal. And yes, Priya is also saying, love the brand. You should be on Tata Indilux, which, as you know, is the luxury vertical in our e-commerce platform. So we'll be happy to connect them to you if you don't know them already.
Perfect. Thank you.
And along with everybody else, thank you once again, Abhilasha, and wish you good luck as everybody is doing.